Welcome back, everyone. In this module, we're going to take a look at context managers, so it becomes clear what they are. We have used context managers before without me necessarily going into detail as what they are, but I think it's worthwhile seeing what they are and also how we can make our own context managers if we want to. So context managers do allow us to properly set up and tear down resources in Python. Let's get started first without using a context manager by creating a file. So I have file handle f equals opencoffee.txt for writing, and then I'm going to write coffee time and I'm going to close it. But let's check it out. I'm going to do that, and the file was created. I will double click it to open it and bring it into focus for you guys, so you can see that in fact it did create coffee.txt and it says coffee time. Now, using a context manager, I can say with open t.txt for writing as f, so it basically becomes the same f as here, f.write t time, and notice that we don't need to close it. It is closed for us automatically. If I do that and then open the file, bring it into focus for you again, you can clearly see that it does say t time, and this file was in fact created, which is wonderful. Now, we can create our own context managers using classes. We can also create them using functions. Let's do both. So this context manager that comes built in with Python, it says with open, for instance, open a file. To stay within the same realm, I'm going to create a class, open file. Notice capital O, capital F. Doesn't make a difference, but later on for the function one, I'm going to use lowercase open and lowercase f, so make a distinction. So this is what I need to do. I need to use my init dunder method. So def init. So this is the, as you recall, the constructor. We pass to the self, which references the object itself, and we pass to it a file name and a mode. You can call these whatever you like. I'm going to let self.filename be equal to filename and self.mode be equal to mode. Again, this is entirely up to you. These two are what's on the right-hand side, and these are the internal attributes of this class. There is an enter dunder method, which is for dealing with files. I'm going to call that, define that, and override it. We're basically overriding the enter dunder method here. I'm going to say self.file is equal to open self.filename, this guy, and then self.mode, and then return the self.file. This basically matches that f that we have here when we say as f. And there's an exit dunder method we need to put in. Notice there are a couple of additional parameters we have to put in, execution type, execution value, traceback, and then we'll simply say self.file.close. These parameters are necessary in case we throw an exception. For our purpose, they're not going to do anything, but they are needed for the exit dunder method for it to properly function. So if I do shift enter, this class has been created. So now I can say with open file, and notice it was with open before, which is built into Python. This is our own creation. I'm going to open coffee.txt, and I'm going to write it's coffee time using classes, let's say. And I'm going to do shift enter. Let's open up that coffee file again, and you can see that it says it's coffee time using classes. It's using our own context manager that we created using classes. And then I'm going to check, is this being properly closed? And it returns true, so it properly closed the file for us after it was done. Let's go ahead and create a context manager now using functions. I'm going to say from context lib, the library, import context manager. And I'm going to use that context manager function or method that I'm importing as a decorator. I have a video coming up on what decorators are and how you can create your own decorators. So don't worry about that. For the time being, remember that what the decorator does, it modifies the functionality or the behavior of the function that is attached to, in this case, open file. So I'm going to call this def open file to be distinct from this class open file, which starts with capital letters. This is a function. As before, we have a file and a mode. We're going to try, we don't need an except clause, we do need a finally clause. So I'm going to let f be equal to open file mode. So this is the built-in open method of Python. And I'm going to yield this function f. This is the variable that comes after that as keyword. So when I say as here or up here when I say as f. Now what the yield does, it returns a generator function. I will have a video coming up, a couple of videos from this one that goes over what generator functions are and how you can create your own generator functions. For now, just remember a generator function is something that we can loop through, or we can go through one by one. It generates things as they're necessary. If you're older than certain people, such as myself, if you're old enough, I should say, you may remember the concept of pointers in some of the older languages when I used to write code. This is more or less what a pointer, Python's pointer. They call it generator. So this is going to create that file handle, and then finally we're going to say f.close, and then we can print a message too, just to be cool, print by. If I do shift enter and then say with open file, and notice I'm saying with open file with the lowercase open and f for file. I'm going to again do coffee text as a mode write method as f. I'm going to say f.write coffee time using functions. Let's do that. And notice it must have closed the file because it did say by here. I'm going to open up that coffee file again, and as you can see, it does say coffee time using functions. It's the same coffee.txt. Let's take a look at a practical example right here. Now for this one to work, I do need to have some files created for myself. So what I want to do is I've made some notes here, create this directory stuff1, stuff2. So I'm in my Python folder and I'm going to do make directory stuff1 and make directory stuff2. Okay, now per my instructions, add some files. So if I switch to stuff1 and do ls, you can see it's empty right now. Let's go ahead and touch file 1 and touch file 2 and then switch to stuff2. I'm in stuff2 now. I'm going to need to touch let's say stuffy2. No, let's call it just file 3. It's easier. And touch file 4, let's say. There you go. Okay, so these have been created. I can do ls here. I can see those two. And if I go back to stuff1 and do ls, you can see I have file 1 and file 2. So I have two directories with a bunch of files in it. First, without a context manager, I'm going to import the OS module, and I'm going to have a current working directory be os.get current working directory. I'm going to take the OS and change to stuff1, and then I'm going to print the directory for that, and then OS change directory to the current directory. And I'm going to get again the current directory, change to directory to stuff2, and print that stuff out. Let's do this. I can see I have file 2, file 1, file 3, file 4. The first one is for stuff1, the second one is for stuff2. So it all works fine. You can see that the get current working directory, once you do it, it returns a list, basically. Now let's make this operation into a context manager. So I'm going to say from context library import context manager. I'm going to create my own change directory function, decorated with context manager, and I have a destination. So try the current working directory be the os get current working directory. I'm going to change to the destination and then yield, which returns a generator, or in this case it doesn't really do anything, it just stops. And then finally I'm going to print the in the current working directory, just list the directories there. Let's do shift enter here. I'm going to say with change directory, so this is a context manager, stuff1. I'm passing to it my stuff1. And you can see that it brings that over. I can do the same thing with stuff2, and it returns the other two for us. Let me switch this back to stuff1. This is it. This is all there is to a context manager. You can create it, as you can see, using functions. You can create it using classes. It's entirely up to you. You can come up with your own clever context managers to help yourself automate things, basically. So you set them up and tear them down automatically without having to worry about whether you kill the variable, trash the variable, close the file, etc. You can have a context manager do all of this for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being a great audience. If you're enjoying these, please share with family, friends, loved ones, and see you in the next video.